Hey guys, Kevin Cage back with another daily cryptocurrency update. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe if you like what you see, and let's get right into the information today, one take and uncut. So first off, by I Am Legion, before we get into some really exciting news, is shared by payments. So Goldman Sachs is actually planning to launch a digital wealth management service to clients with as little as $5,000 in 2020 in the form of a robo-advisor. So one thing that begs a question now is, are we seeing some form of asset fractionalization that will allow everyday people to invest smaller amounts of capital rather than huge stocks or huge portfolios and huge one-time investments? Because asset fractionalization will allow us to get fractions of a Facebook stock. Instead of paying, say $200 per stock, you could maybe invest $10 or $20 and own 0.5% or 10% of a stock, for example, or when real estate is tokenized as well. So that's another option. And then with robo-advising and AI, and then even, what is the other one I'm forgetting about? Kind of going hand in hand with machine learning. We're going to see more and more of this, of course, and hopefully, which is more likely by the day with all the regulation, especially the news I want to cover today with the SEC, in terms of cryptocurrency investing and more digital assets and even products that are built on top of these ledgers and blockchains for sale, especially STOs, these security tokenized offerings that are occurring more and more. And we already know the huge investments that both companies Ripple and Coinbase have put into the $10 trillion securities market. So we'll see what happens with Goldman Sachs again. We know JP Morgan with JPM Coin. We know Goldman Sachs has been talking about creating some form of walled garden token to use domestically between their own walled gardens. So we will see. Next, Ganesh Hiramath. So showing this. So guys, this was on the SEC today, and this is shared by Jeff Hardy. And these gentlemen are literally talking and just regarding, representing the SEC, talking to the senator, and literally, Facebook's announcing Libra, of course. They announced it earlier this year. It spurred a bunch of innovation. It really kind of got everybody to start competing. It drove a lot of competition. But the cool thing was that this news of Facebook finally jumping on the bandwagon and being a potential threat and taking up market share instantaneously, because it's a lot easier for them to roll things out because they have so many customers and users. It actually got a lot of the people that have been working behind the scenes for 3 to 4 years on the back end that actually popped out now, and we realize all the progress that has been made into fixing all of this plumbing. And so basically this gentleman, the SEC confirms here, the plumbing of digitization or tokenization, going towards this token economy is already here, and they don't want to fight it with it. It means the roads are clear for XRP to start its flywheel. Now this part is speculation, if this has to do with XRP entirely, but guys, they're talking solely about payment transfers. So the SEC today acknowledges, they said, digitization is coming, and the plumbing and infrastructure is officially here, and this is what he says, for payment transfers and other aspects of the global financial system. They want to be taking fat out of the system. So I'm reading out of that term. I'm reading, into that term, and perhaps they're referring to the pre-funded accounts potentially, the Nostro Vostro accounts that all these countries have to hold on to, which obviously is fat in the system. It's useless. You don't need it. They want to make the system much more lean and efficient. All right. And then he goes on to say, unleashing in this type of thing, taking fat out of the system and changing the plumbing will unleash the natural economic forces that that is happening right now. So these effects are actually impacting society right now. And he says, we have to recognize it's happening now and ensure that throughout this process, everything's regulated and investors are protected. Now, he goes on to emphasize, we cannot fight this. We have to embrace this change. If the SEC fights this transformation, it will go around us. And perhaps he's referencing, Facebook taking advantage of it, or even potentially saying that they have to compete now and act just as BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, those nations that are straying away from the SWIFT network, are planning to go around SWIFT. And then even with the announcement of the Chinese central bank digital currency that is piloting towards the end of year, if it's already piloting now with the big 4 banks in China, and launching in 2020. There's just a lot happening, a lot of speculation, but a lot of facts. And what I'm very confused about is at the end, the gentleman literally emphasizes and says, Senator, the plumbing is here. And the senator kind of is hard of hearing. And he goes, this year? And he goes, no, it's here. Like it's already here. It's already set. But they simply have to, you could say, flip the switch. And it makes you wonder. Now, whether this has to do with XRP, if it's built or even slightly related to the XRP ledger, that's unbelievably, amazing for all of us, obviously, but let's just take it with a grain of salt. I'll believe in price action when we see it. Whether this happens or not doesn't matter for me long term, because with on-demand liquidity, with all of the ecosystem, being built around the XRP ledger, we are going to be very, very grateful regardless. This is just icing on the cake. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, they would not want to announce this, but I think I heard, who did I hear? Someone said this on YouTube the other day, or maybe it was today, I don't even remember, but they just said, the best way to hide something is in plain sight. And XRP truly is in plain sight for everybody to see. And obviously, I believe it is heavily manipulated to be at a low price, whether that's because the gold market and the precious metals market and all markets are manipulated, or it's just whales or whoever it may be. Obviously, there's no way to know that. All right, next up, Ganesh Hiramath. So breaking China, I was going to say Chinese. China launching its own CBDC within a few days. The first pilot will be on a smaller scale at the end of 2019, the second later in 2020, and will be a larger scale effort. And right here, so tests are likely to include the participation of the big four, these large banks in China. And then right here, the pilots will see the digital currency dubbed Digital Currency Electronic Payment, so DCEP. All right, so we will see more of that. Looking to get more information about that. Again, it's hard to get accurate information that's really coming from China because we're really on a, only need the know basis. Right here, a quote that I do like, and this is, I believe it's by Thomas Jefferson. A government big enough to give you everything you want is strong enough to take everything you have. Something to consider. All right, and then lastly, this is a presidential candidate, I believe, Andrew Yang, and just going on to say, Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan, and then Ray Dalio and others have looked at the numbers and statistics and concluded that we should declare a national emergency, that more and more Americans are being shut out of economic progress in the 21st century. They are right. And obviously, I'm not political whatsoever, but this is completely factual in my opinion. I mean, honestly, guys, we are basically just collecting debt. That is all people are doing, becoming, wage slaves and continuing to work. And everybody's so busy that we're just looking straight ahead in our own little world and with our myopic view, tunnel vision, and just accumulating debt. People, under 30, people of all ages for that matter, they are debt slaves. They have no financial IQ because the system does not teach that. We teach the opposite. So remember, hedge your bet. One way of doing that I'm doing is cryptocurrency. Another way is staying out of debt. Another way is other investments, whether that is real estate, which could be, risky at a time like this, or precious metals, or even fiat. Yes, even fiat is potentially there. But as I see inflation, I don't think that's smart. So I'm looking at deflationary assets, and I'm looking at something that's undervalued now and could potentially flip in the future. And I just think XRP, especially as they're naming payment transfers, is one of the big pain points here. It should be a no-brainer. Invest in a cryptocurrency that is legit, that has never had a ledger error in years ever, and is solving this payments problem or reducing the fat, a lot of the same talk tracks, leveling the playing field. There's just too many coincidences at a point like this, and if we are right, we are going to be grateful forever. I believe this is life-changing money, and for me, the upside is just too much to not risk it. And that is why, yes, every investment is risky. That is where the money comes from. But that's why I'm willing to risk it. That's why day in and day out, I spend hours upon hours reading about this, learning, informing myself, and putting, my funds on the line because I believe in this. No, I'm not desperate. I will be fine whether XRP goes to, however many digits or to zero. But at the end of the day, I cannot pass up this opportunity based off of what I see and the very intelligent people I see building upon this. All right. So guys, we will see what happens day in and day out. I am so grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for the comments, whether you agree or disagree. I try to read everything and I try to take everything, and learn from you guys as well. So I really do appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.